Lauren, so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. The sun is out, so I'm happy, always happy when the sun is out.
Yes, today's the perfect
Yeah.
weekend, yeah,
Oh, it's been
perfect day.
amazing.
So Lauren, you are obviously, well, you used to do modeling.
I did, yes.
I first met you at the Adnivik show.
Yes, yes. I love those shows. Those are
Yeah,
fun.
you've done a few of them.
Yeah, I even did the one in February, actually. Yeah, it was
Yes,
fun. I love they're a good client. The
and
dresses are amazing.
oh, their dresses are amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So you must quit recently then, if I
Oh
saw
yeah,
you then.
really recently.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, like two or 3 months ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big change.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel now, or
Now,
yeah,
amazing.
right?
When I first did it, I was scared. It was because it's all I knew. Modeling was all I did
Hmm.
from so young. So sending those emails out to kind of be like, I'm done.
Oh,
Big
damn.
change. Yeah,
Yeah.
big.
They're like,
I had to
no,
get someone
stay.
to like be like, press the send button.
Were clients wanting you to stay for a bit longer?
I think that they were super understanding, which was amazing because I think I was scared of their reaction and maybe they would convince me to stay and
Yeah.
I was really ready to leave.
Mm.
But no, they were super understanding. They said, if you ever want to come back, come back. So yeah, it
Maybe the
was
next show I'll say.
maybe I'll be an animal. Yeah.
I mean, when did you start modeling then? You said a very young age.
Yep. So I was actually 10 when I was semi-signed. But then that was like a kind of holding contract, if you will. And then at 15, I really properly started.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of knew it was what I was going to do from the age of 10.
I mean, did your parents kind of persuade you, convince you? Did you come from a fashion background?
No, so my parents are both very entrepreneurial. And I guess modeling is also an entrepreneurial job, but they were more sort of 9 to 5,
Uh-huh.
like office jobs and stuff. My dad was a business owner. But I think my parents have always been very much kind of, they will support me in whatever I want to do. The same with my sister. And they knew that modeling was something that I was
You just
wanting to do
wanted,
from,
yeah.
when I was a kid.
Nice.
So my dad actually took me to Elite in Barcelona,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of where it all began, and that's where I got going.
Ah, yes. So you are originally from Barcelona. You're born in Barcelona.
So I was born in the Midlands in the UK, and then at the age of 9, I moved to Barcelona, and I stayed there for
Is
9 years.
Was that specifically for modeling or for just your?
No, just a change. I moved with my parents. They were ready for some sunshine, bit of different
Yeah,
scenery.
quite different.
Yeah,
So, Lauren, this podcast today is sponsored by Owly eyewear,
amazing.
specializing in reading glasses.
Okay.
So we'll just talk about a few minutes about Owly.
let's do it.
So this comes in a really cute box, Owly.
Amazing.
So
I've
the
got one here.
design took a while to design it. I worked with the designer, and customers just love the design. It's very classy. It's very
Yeah.
professional.
Sleek.
Yes, and there's a wee Owly eyes here.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah, that's the logo.
Oh, that's cute. I like
Yeah.
that.
So owls have really good eyes, so that's kind of
Yeah.
how the name came about. So they come in this very thin case, easy to carry, travel, because I travel quite a lot, and
Okay.
I always found that they always come in these big bulky cases.
Yeah, you can't fit them in any bag.
Do you wear glasses?
I wear sunglasses.
Sunglasses. But they're very important.
They're
So
very
we do
important.
sunglasses as well.
Yeah.
But do you always come in this big case, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a thick, chunky case
And you,
normally. Yeah.
and you put it in your handbag, or you can't put it in your pocket.
I mean, the bag I came with today is tiny. I always wear little shoulder bags, so
Right.
I can never fit anything in them.
So this is
This
like
is perfect.
7 millimeters thin, and got a wee cute Owly button that's
Yeah.
magnetic clasp. So the magnetic clasp was basically because I have patients who have arthritis, and I discovered that with cases they kind of struggle to open it with their fingers, and so we did that special design
That's
for
really
them.
sweet.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And taking them out, they're, as you see, very thin. You've got the black tortoise. It's the
Yes,
second
they're
best-selling color, and this one's blue is the best-selling color. So yeah, very, very thin, very light in the face.
I might try them on.
I think the tortoise would suit you actually. Yeah, that looks good
Yeah,
on you.
with my fringe as well. Now I look really,
Amazing. Yeah, very like booky.
very
Nerd.
bookworm.
Yeah. So yeah, blue blocking. So do you use computers a lot, Lauren? Digital screens.
I do, especially now that I've left modeling. So yeah, I do.
Yeah, so they're specifically all the glasses have blue blocking incorporated into the lenses, so it helps with especially sleep. If you're on digital screens 3 hours before bed, it can help to block the blue light that interrupts your melatonin production.
Okay.
So as your body naturally produces melatonin in the evening, it helps you to sleep. But
Yeah.
if you're on a computer, the blue light actually blocks the melatonin production, and then you can't sleep, and you don't have a
Yeah.
good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of customers find that helpful, whether it helps with eye strain or migraines. It's anecdotal, so that's not proven yet.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, they're
I
very
like them. They're very
strong.
comfortable as well.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes I find the glasses a bit sore on the nose or the ears. These
Yeah.
are super comfy.
They leave marks in your nose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these don't do that.
These don't
But
do that,
yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we've had 4,000 customers so far,
Amazing.
and we're doing really well. And yeah, today we're sponsoring podcasts. Yeah. Because I found eyewear very connected to fashion, fashion eyewear. So we find sponsoring modeling related to fashion related
Yeah.
media is
Yeah.
very helpful. Yeah. Let's pop that there.
Amazing.
Okay, Lauren. So let's go back to your modeling career, if that's okay.
Yes.
So recently you did leave the career, which everyone is so sad about.
I know.
But everyone's so supportive,
Yeah.
and you seem to be finding your feet. But if it's okay, you know what, if we can talk about some of the modeling side of your, because it was such a big part of your life.
Massive part of my life. Yeah, yeah.
So let's see. You did talk about how you first got into it, 10 years old, you know, very young. You just knew you wanted to do it, right?
Yeah.
So what was your first big break into modeling? How did it all kick off for you?
So I went with my dad, like I said, to Elite, and they were like, okay, we love her, we like her look, we like her vibe, but she's too young. I was 10, which was understandable, of course. We were all very aware of that, but they were like, put you on a holding contract, come back in a few years' time when you're ready to work, you know. So I kept getting approached in grocery stores and places like that, but I had to say no, you know, I'm with somebody. So that sort of started that fire in me when I was that young of like, oh, I'm a model now, you know, and it's kind of like a little ego
Everyone wants
boost.
me.
But I was 10, I was a baby.
Yeah.
But then when I was 15, I got my full contract. I was super excited, super happy. And yeah, that's sort of how it all started. I did test shoots when, you know, how you do test shoots. And I grew from there, and I got to work with some amazing clients through my time in modeling. Yeah.
So Elite is your mother agency?
They were my mother agency when I was in Barcelona until I moved to the UK, and then it all kind of changed in terms of agencies.
Got it.
Yeah.
So was there a point, I mean, in terms of signing your first agency, you know, a lot of models that struggle with finding the right agency, even getting signed.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it was very easy for you. But I mean, do you have any advice on how to find the right agency? Like, have you had any bad experiences with agencies or?
I luckily haven't had bad experiences. I think that when you go and look for an agency for anyone starting, I think it's super important to feel like they have confidence in you and that they're very supportive of you, because I think in the modeling industry, you're always getting rejected anyway, you know? So you want to have a mother agency or any agency you sign with that are there to back you 100%, you know, and make you feel confident. And I think that's really important.
And how did you deal with, like, I mean, I don't know if you did get a lot of rejection, but how would you deal, because a lot of models will get silence from castings.
Yeah.
Silence from
Yeah.
agencies. How would you deal with such rejection? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one because I think naturally as humans, rejection is just not a nice thing to experience.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in the modeling industry or the fashion industry, you know that there's going to be rejection. It's going to come with that, and it's just part of the job. But you have to not take it personally, and that's the hard bit. And it's so much easier said than done, because you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't they want me? But it's, you know, they have a certain look that they're looking for, and they're just ticking boxes. And if you fit, you fit, and if you don't, you don't. And someone might love you, someone might not.
Yeah.
It's just
Finding the right one.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
what they're looking for.
Yeah.
That's
You have
very,
to-
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, no, you go.
No, yeah, just not taking it personally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have to have a strong head on your shoulders, and sometimes that's harder to really do, and it's hard to kind of be like, oh, I got rejected. But the more it can happen a lot, or it can not happen a lot, but I think it just depends. And you can talk to your friends in the same industry, and you know that everyone else is sort of going through it.
Yeah.
And you find great clients that want you time and time again, and that's, you know, that confidence boost is back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you always been quite a confident person?
Have I always been? Oh, I don't know. I think I'm more confident now than ever before. I think when I was in modeling, I was maybe less confident, funnily enough, even though I was always in front of the camera. I was always kind of, you know, doing the runways or meeting new people, which I think actually built my confidence up to where it is now. But maybe when you're out of the modeling industry, you're not comparing yourself as much. So your
Right.
confidence is,
So your confidence boosted now.
yeah, your confidence is a different level. It's coming from internal rather than external.
That's so important.
Yeah.
That's so deep
I
already.
think I love a deep chat. So
Right, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. I mean, where was the point where you could fully support yourself from modeling? Was that just from the get-go?
I think it takes time, because I think when you first start in modeling, and I don't know how it is now, but when I first started, you do a lot of test shoots, and those are normally free shoots, and that's to build your portfolio. So then you can go to the clients and make the money from those other jobs. So it took me a while, but then when I moved to London, I was, living on my own, and yeah, I was having time of my life. I was loving it. Modeling's funny because I think people think you can make tons and tons and tons of money from the get-go, and you can make a lot of money, but it's not a steady, you're not getting it monthly like a 9 to 5 would. So you do have to make sure you're sort of aware of your finances.
Yeah. So most of your work was coming from the agency then, or did you find work yourself?
Yeah, so when I'm with an agency, I was pretty loyal. I would stay with the agency bookings. When I took a little break actually of modeling before now, and I did a little bit of real estate, which I haven't even mentioned before.
wow.
But yeah, so I then did a bit of freelancing then when I wasn't with an agency.
Right.
But,
So you've been switching agencies. You weren't originally with Body.
so Body London was when I moved to London after so when I moved from Barcelona to London, I took a little break.
Oh.
That's when I did a little bit of real estate when I moved to London, which was great. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't done with my modeling. It was
Right.
in the back of my head. I was like, I'm not done. This is too much. Yeah. And as funnily enough, I was in an office, an amazing office, great people, but I was overlooking Harrods, and I could just see all the fashion, and it was just like, I need to be back in fashion.
Yeah.
So
It's a sign.
yeah, it was a sign. So I did leave and went back into modeling, and that's when I signed with Body.
Right.
Some friends that I'd been working on a freelance job with were with them. So I was like, I'll give it a go. I literally walked in, and then, yeah, a couple of days later, they gave me the call, and they were like, we'd love to have you. And they were an amazing agency, really great.
Yeah. So it took you a while after test shoots, and then,
Yeah.
how long did it take before you fully could support yourself?
Oh, I would say when I was maybe I was living with my parents until the age of 19, 20. So yeah, around that sort of time.
They're in London now?
They're in London.
Cool.
Yeah.
They moved with you. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So how have you seen the industry shift in terms of celebrities, influencers, social media? I mean, I want to ask, how important is personal branding? Like, a lot of agencies now, they ask for your Instagram, your TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, how important is that in modeling now?
It's crazy that you mention that, because when I first started, I never had to put my TikTok handle or my Instagram handle on any kind of form. Then when I moved to London, I remember I went to an agency for kind of just to see if they would take me. And I remember they passed me a form, you put your measurements, you put your hair colour, your eye colour. And then it was, what's your Instagram, what's your TikTok? And I was like, well, this is a bit weird. Like, that's a bit strange. But then that year, actually, I just sort of remember seeing a lot of influencers, a lot of social media growth and these models, and how it really helped them with their career.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big thing. I think that a lot of agencies actually prefer to book people with bigger followings, because that promotes their brand even further,
Yeah. They seem to be competing with celebrities now as well, which
Definitely.
makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, it's definitely expanded from models, as in, you see them lining up on the streets and they're doing the castings, and it's a full-time grind, to just direct bookings off of social media.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Things have changed.
It's a big change. Yeah, it's huge.
Did you have to do that, wait in big lines? And
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Oh.
Especially London Fashion Week, you try and arrange your day, because you can be all over London when it's castings for that sort of those shows, and at the end of the day, you've just been queuing, and then it's your last casting, and it's just all down the street, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah,
got a queue.
That's the reality of it, right? People just see the glam, but
oh yeah, that's a huge thing. I think that people kind of think that modeling is a very glamorous world, and because you see it, they see the front cover, they see the photos, and it looks amazing, looks glamorous, looks fun, but behind the scenes, it's a hustle. And yeah.
So what would you say, someone looking at your photos would not know about you?
What would they not know about me?
Yeah, all this glam, but what's something that they would not know about Lauren?
I think maybe the reality of what modeling is, and kind of the reality of how I've come from where I was to now. I think that when you see a photo on social media, you see the best bits of people's lives. I think that's always what everyone shows, I suppose. There are some pages that don't. There are some pages that show more realism, but I think everyone posts the highlights. And I think that's hard when you're looking at social media. It's hard to remember that, you know, and it's like, actually, that's a real person.
Yeah.
And they go through the same struggles as anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I think people should remember.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say that what would you want people to know about you, your life, your career that would not otherwise be shown on social media?
I think that they should know that, or I think they should be aware that everyone's a real person. I think that's because I've never had any horrible comments or anything on social media, but I think I've had friends who may have, or people that I see online who do. And I think you can see horrible comments, or comments that maybe don't seem horrible but come across as a bit like, you know, too much. And I think that it's to remember that people are real and have the same emotions as anyone else and go through the same things mentally and physically. And
let's go back to that later.
Yeah.
I think it would be good to dig a bit deeper into your, you know, your vulnerabilities, I guess, if you're open to that.
Yeah.
But how did you go? So how did you go about building your social media then? Did you have issues?
Funnily enough, I had a pretty low following for a lot of my younger, like when I first started modeling. I think it was about maybe 5,000, around that. And then I went on a trip with my family to, I think it was Saint-Tropez or Cannes or somewhere in France. And I posted some pictures, and then I just kept getting loads of followers. And I was like, this is cool.
All right.
Didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah.
And then I came back to London, and the followings just kept growing and growing and growing.
What were you posting?
I didn't even know. It was just the same as before. It was maybe the algorithm or whatever. I had friends also with loads of big followers as well, followings rather, who would tag me, and maybe there was some kind of growth from there. And then, it kind of hit a point where I'm now at, I think, 18.5k. I've lost a few from when I stopped modeling. I came off social media for a bit, lost a few, which goes to show you have to keep at it to keep those followers. But for me, I think the followers was never really an aim or a big thing for me. I mean, it was fun to see that was coming on, and I didn't really think anything of it. But now you've asked me the question, it's quite funny, because like that's how many eyes are actually on you when you post something, you know, which is quite a scary thing to think about.
This just, I just said the agencies seem to value it. So
they
even
do.
If you do not.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think the more followers you have, the more freelance jobs I think you can get as well. Because I think the agencies, once you're signed, they'll keep getting you jobs. But I think that the clients, they'll see your Instagram page, and the agency will always send them their Instagram page. Yeah. And then the clients will be like, okay, we'll use her. She's got a big following.
But they have to go for the agency anyway, right?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, so a client can either go to an agency direct, or they can go to you direct.
They can?
They can. They can. What I always did was I would never go behind the agency's back. That's just my loyalties to them. But if the client came to me personally, I would send them my booker's email. But if I was not with an agency, I would allow them to.
Okay, so you'd always send
I would always do that, just out of a loyalty thing, you know.
Even
especially
if they reach you directly.
Yeah, especially if that booker had got me that job before. So sometimes, and I've had it in the past, that a client that I got booked with through my agency would reach out to me for a second time behind the agency's back, in a way, not behind their back, but just to see if I wanted to do it freelance. And I would always say, let's do it through the agency.
But you could still do, if it's a new client, you could do it directly, right?
Yeah, you could.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Any major differences working international and UK, would you say?
I think money can be different working internationally in UK. I haven't had a lot of experience working in Paris, but from friends, I've heard the money's a lot bigger, but that's because the commission take is higher when you have a Parisian agency, and they take a higher percentage of commission, so the pay is bigger. What else? I think maybe London is a little bit more... what's the word, and how would I put this? I think they're a little bit more open to lots of different people.
Right.
And I think maybe, especially when it comes to clothing size, I think there are some countries that are a lot stricter. Especially when I was in Barcelona, it was a lot stricter. When I came to London, I remember my Body London agency never measured me once. But when I was in Barcelona, I was measured like weekly, almost monthly.
Right.
Yeah.
But you haven't been to Asia or...
I haven't, no, unfortunately. I had some great clients, but they were based in London, but they were,
Right, you just had... Yeah, I guess you had a lot of work here anyway. You didn't need to travel.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to sip some...
Oh, not on your go.
So warm today.
Yeah, need to stay hydrated. If you need a break, obviously, anytime.
Oh, good.
So what was your favourite shoot or campaign in your modelling career? What made it special?
Favorite shoot? I would say I did a Dolce & Gabbana beauty shoot in Milan, and that was amazing because I remember, I don't even think I got cast. I don't think I did a casting for it. Trying to remember. No, I didn't do a casting for it. I remember I was at a brow appointment. So I was getting my brows done.
Right.
I was waiting and I have this text pop up or email pop up from my agent, and she's like, you might have an amazing job coming up. And I was like, okay, this is exciting. And I was like, what is it? She was like, it's Dolce & Gabbana. She's like, don't hold your breath. Don't, but they seem keen. And I was like, okay, this is like exciting. But as a model, I'm like, let's never get too excited too soon.
Correct.
Because you never know. Went for my brow appointment, and then I come out and 2 emails, notifications. They're like, they want you. It's like in a few weeks,
Right.
but send me your passport. And then she sent all the details and everything. And I was just like, I remember calling my mum. I was like, oh my gosh, Dolce & Gabbana, like what? And I went, and honestly, it was the best. It was like a trip. It wasn't even like a job.
Yeah.
There were 2 other people from my agency there on the shoot.
Right.
And I remember the first day we had dinner, we had pizza. Then the job was so quick. It was like a couple of hours in the studio. And then I had the rest of the day to just explore Milan, being paid to explore Milan. Basically, it was amazing. Yeah.
You still eat pizza though? You can eat
Yeah. Well, that's well, when I was a model, no. That was my personal experience. I was very strict on myself. And I paid the consequences mentally for that. I don't know. I think every model that I've spoken to not struggles with food, but they're aware of their body. You have to be, because you're judged on your appearance, and you are basically, you're not a coat hanger, but you are a little bit, depending on the client, but you can feel that way. And so, when you walk into a room, there's millions of beautiful people and you're competing. And I think that you're not really judged by your personality either.
Right.
Unless you're doing, like some sort of campaign where you need to talk or you need to express yourself. But it's a looks at the end of the day.
It's the biggest part, right? But personality does help, right? Because I feel like they do have... I saw like one of my friends, her model, like she had a casting and it says, this girl... positive personality. And it seems like that's important.
I do. No, that's very true, because I actually think that I've worked with clients who love me for me as well, and they love working with me because I always made sure when I was with a client, I was kind, I was, professional, I was respectful, and I was fun, and I wouldn't complain, and I would do my best. And that's really important for them as well, because who you work with, that whole day you're shooting and everyone's coming together to make something great. You've got to give your all, because they are as well. But I think at the same time, you're very aware of the fact you need to look a certain way.
Absolutely. So other than this Dolce & Gabbana Milan trip, what other experiences are just that stand out for you?
For me, it was always Runway. I love Runway. I will always love Runway. That was when I did my first catwalk. I was in Madrid. So I traveled from Barcelona to Madrid, and that was my first sort of solo trip. And my first time just staying away from my parents. And, I was super excited. And it was my first time experiencing backstage at a show and the buzz of it, and then the post-adrenaline rush of it. And I was like, oh, I love this. This is fun,
Yeah.
So, that was huge for me. And that was...
Did you have to do some specific training, catwalk trainings, or your...
So I think my mum put me in heels from the age of 2. So I was okay, luckily enough. I was fine with the heels, but you do have to make sure you can walk, and my agency would give me a few tips, and so I remember that.
Amazing. You obviously worked with some really big brands, Dolce, Gabbana, Adnevic, which I first met you at, and Milan.
Millie London are great. Yes,
and that's amazing. So so people, as I said, see a lot of the glam, the best things on social media of the industry. So can you maybe tell me what has been some of the lowest points in your career?
I think the times when I completely lost confidence in myself, or I didn't have the confidence that other people thought I should have. I think when you're looking from the outside in at someone who's got their career, their body and their face and everything, and you don't really know actually what they're going through to sustain that, because being quote unquote perfect all the time is very difficult. And I think those were my lowest times, when I was like, this is a lot, the pressure really can get to you. And I think that's when that strong-mindedness really plays a big role.
Yeah.
And I think I'm quite a sensitive person. And I think when you're sensitive and you're in an industry like that, it's a bit of a clash.
Yeah.
So I would struggle at times, and I would be, I would lose belief in myself to do something. I was always then proven wrong, and, I'd always pick myself back up. But yeah, it can affect you, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of models go through it as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe it's not shown, as I said, on social media.
It's not. And I think there's a reason why it's not, because I think if people spoke about it, then the modeling industry would have maybe not a great name.
Correct.
But I think it's like with any job, there's always, pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I think with modeling, it's a little bit more permanent sometimes, and it can affect you a little bit, and in the way you see yourself.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because that everyone's beautiful and everyone's doing the best they can, and I think that people can sometimes lose themselves a little bit, which is unfortunate.
One thing that I spoke to recently, because I did shoot a fashion show recently, and we were talking about the shelf life of models, and their parents, they were not very approving of them to do modeling because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
But I guess, once you get into the industry, you do network with people, and you can spin off into certain parts of the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you said your parents were already quite supportive.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you have like an end goal exit plan at all?
So luckily, like you said, my family were super supportive. Up until, I think they were supportive up until they could see that maybe it was slightly draining me and not making me as happy as it once was. And I think that my end goal was, to be honest, I was always just going to do modeling. And I think that's why it was so hard to leave, because that was my plan.
Right.
Was to do modeling and to keep going and to, like you said, network, and maybe I'd venture off into launching some kind of fashion brand or skincare brand, or, and just because and also with agencies that I've been with, they have a mature section, so you can be older and model. And so that was my plan. It was all I was going to do.
So did this change quite suddenly for you then?
I think it's a sudden change, but I think it's also been in the back of my head of maybe something that I needed to do. Even though I didn't want to do it, it was probably needed. And that's why I found it difficult to leave, because it was like I didn't want to, but I needed to.
So what was the moment where you decided that you were going to walk away?
Yeah, so I was full-time modeling for a long time. Then I went a bit part-time because I could see that maybe my body wasn't doing so well. I was kind of struggling with my food actually quite a lot, and I was like, let's just take a step back. Let's not put so much pressure on myself. So I took a step back, and things were going fine. It was good. And then I was like, oh, I want to go full time again. I missed it. It was almost like that addiction. I was like, I need to go back. Like, this is not, I can't do it part time. Went back. And then, then it went a little downhill again. And my parents were like, actually, I had a really good opportunity with another company, another agency, to go into America and go do big catwalks. And I was like, this is great, doing this. And that's my phone. My phone's on sleep mode, so I don't know how. So I, where was I?
Oh yeah, so you were going to go to America to do.
I was going to
catwalks.
I was going to go to America to do some fancy catwalks and do some cool catwalks. And the agency was great, and I was super excited. And I remember sitting with my parents, and they were sort of like, "Just make sure it's definitely what you want to do," because I know that you've kind of had thoughts about leaving and maybe doing it part-time, and I think signing up to this would make it very full-time and very permanent, and something I'd have to really give myself to. And them saying that was kind of like, oh, okay, there's a reality behind this. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. And I really did think about it, because I think if I had said yes to that, I would definitely still be modeling now. And who knows, I would be doing great, but maybe mentally, maybe not as confident, and maybe not as happy as I am now. But still, maybe on the outside, it would have looked like I should be happy, and it would all be going great, and it's what I dreamed of doing. But yeah, I think that was the moment when I was like, okay, actually, this probably maybe is my time to step back.
You mentioned when you went back, everything went, things went downhill. What went downhill?
So I've always been a very, not OCD, but I've been a very determined person. So when I put my mind to something, it's like, that's what I'm going to do. And for me, it was always to look a certain way. And so that can become quite an obsession. And I started to become quite obsessed with it again, know. And I think my sister more than anyone would notice it in me, because she was the one who knew me more than anyone else, you know, and she'd see it even if I was trying to kind of disguise the things I was doing.
What would you see?
So say I would weigh food. You know, I was weighing it all out again. Like I would never normally have done that if I was doing part-time modeling, working out, extremely working out, portion size control. Like it was a lot of things to control how I look. And I think that that's, on one hand, it's sort of not what's expected, but to look as that I'm not naturally super skinny. Like my physique is not naturally that way. So I have to train myself if I want to be in that body. But it becomes an obsession, and it also becomes challenging to live a life other than modeling. And I think the problem with modeling is that, unlike a 9 to 5, you can't just clock off. You know, it's not like it's 6 p.m. we'll go to do our real life now, or it's the weekend, we can let loose. Modeling is your life, so you have to keep up with it all the time.
It's funny because you see obviously like Kate Moss just taking cocaine and
Yeah.
just living the life, but
It really it's and it's detrimental to your health at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Good while you're young.
Yeah.
So do you think that models these days have to be entrepreneurs? You know, with social media, as you said, agencies can kind of, well, they'll just get your work, right? But as nowadays, do you think a model has to be entrepreneurial?
Absolutely. Because I think at the end of the day, you have an agency and they will sort your finances out to a degree. They will send you the job details, but you have to manage your own calendar. You have to make sure that you're working, but you're also socializing. Because I think also socializing is a big part of modeling. You know, you're connecting with people, you're networking, you're out there, you're, you know, doing your thing. Finances, you've got to make sure you're in control of it. Travel, you've got to make sure you arrive at the right time. You're not going to get another train ticket or a plane ticket, and if you miss your train, it's probably it's your responsibility then. You've also got to present yourself to a certain extent. You've got to make sure you're professional. You've got to make sure you show up, you know, early. If not, then make sure you're on time. All of those kind of things. It's very entrepreneurial sort of way of being.
What's one valuable lesson you've learned from working with top brands and creatives?
Be yourself. That's what I would say, and that's what I've learned. Because I think when you first start modeling, it can be easy to maybe see an idol or see someone else that you look up to and be like, oh, I want to be like that. Let's do something that they're doing. Then you're losing yourself, and then I think people can actually see that and tell. And when you're actually the best times and when I've been most successful is when I've just been myself, and that's what people love, because they're hiring you for you and they're booking you for you. They want your look, your face, your personality, and that's what works.
Yeah, you can't really fake something forever, right?
No,
So
absolutely not. Yeah.
Makes sense. Have you ever turned in work that didn't align with your personal brand or your values?
Yeah, I have. Which is, I think it's quite a big thing to say no to a job, especially if it's a big paid job. You're like, oh gosh, no, but yeah, kind of want to, but no. But yeah, I have turned down jobs a few times actually. And I think that's because I value my values. I value my morals.
So what was
my
it that
image.
about these that you didn't like, that didn't align?
I think it just didn't align with my image. It wouldn't have represented me in the best light. And I think that, or I turned down jobs that weren't right for me mentally as well, because I've worked for jobs where they drained me. They drained my energy.
One, right?
Yeah, it just drained. Which one's that?
America, like you were gonna
Yeah.
sign,
Like that, for example, you know, not taking that contract. That was slightly different, because I think that was like, I wasn't aware of what that could be. That could be great, that could be not so great. But I think that was more of the commitment side of it. But there have been jobs where I've experienced it and know that it drains me. And even though it's regular income, some jobs like e-commerce, they can be regular income, but they're slow and they're draining, and it's a lot on you know, to do in the day. And those kind of jobs I had to say no to, because I was like, I'm doing modeling because I love to be creative and express myself, and I wasn't being able to do that in those sort of jobs. So yeah, I think it's difficult to say no to money, but sometimes you do have to say no
for your mental health. For long term.
Yeah.
And if you could collaborate with anyone, brand or creator, who would it be?
Oh, I think now that I've moved more towards Pilates, it would be, have you heard of the brand Adanola?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so they are like a sports brand. They do, well, they're like athleisure wear. And I love their stuff. I think Kendall Jenner just did a collab with them as well.
Nice.
So yeah, I love what they do. I love their vibe. It's cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Could model for them.
yeah, I'd love to collab with them. Yeah.
How do you stay creatively inspired? With social media, algorithm always pushes towards a certain trend, the sameness. Like, how do you stay inspired, become more individual, and post things that are?
I think it's funny with the whole algorithm thing. Sometimes you can blow up, and sometimes it's like, this has got 0 views. What have I done wrong? But it's just you've posted it at the wrong time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think staying confident in what you're putting out there and kind of being a bit delusional and like, this will succeed. It just may take time.
Okay.
And I think sometimes you have to have that confidence, even if you're like, this isn't working, or just keep at it, because I think that is when it starts to work.
Got it. Did the follower count and things, when you saw it rising, did that affect your mental in any way, or were you quite stable?
I think funny enough it didn't, and I think that's because, and I guess it's for people who have huge followings, it's probably the same thing. It's just a number.
Yeah.
You're just seeing it as a number, so it's kind of hard to actually be like,
These
actually
are
there's faces and those are eyes. Yeah. So I think I just saw it as a number, and I also had loads of friends with even more followers, so I was like, oh, this is not really anything too much. But yeah, I think if my followings were to grow even more, I'd probably be a bit like, oh, that's a lot of people.
Possible with your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
So for aspiring models, because I think a lot of models look up to you, with the work that you've done and your image. So what advice would you give to someone wanting to get into modeling but doesn't know where to start?
I would say make sure it's definitely something that you feel as a person you can do. And when I say that, I mean that you can take the rejection and you can keep moving forward, that you have a lot of confidence in yourself, and that you show up as yourself. And I think that along the way, if you do start, make sure to remember who you are at the core, and to not get too lost in that world. Staying real is very important. And I think if you are looking to start, again, like I said, make sure that the agency that you're with, you have confidence in them and they have confidence in you, and you're sort of like a team. And it's not that you're less than the agent and the agent is less than you. You're kind of at the same level and you're working together. I think that's really important to remember.
Nice. What's the one thing you wish you knew before signing? Well, you kind of got signed quite easily. As you said, making sure they're the right partner. But for a model, like just signing with a modeling agency, what's the first thing? What would be something that you wish you knew before you signed with them?
Something I wish I knew, it would be that this is not just a career, this is going to be your life. And it's a life, like I said, it's not a 9 to 5, modeling is...
All right, okay, like consuming your whole life.
Yeah, modeling it's every day, and you're expected... Like, honestly, I would have calls and it'd be like, can you be at this casting in 20 minutes? And it's like
at the random time.
Yeah, you've got to be ready and willing. And when I say ready, I mean you've got to look your best all the time. And it's like, wow, that's a lot, because sometimes you're not going to look your best. You're just going to be tired. Yeah, you're going to be tired, or you're just, haven't had a shower yet. You just, or whatever it is, and you can't do that because
so you're just at a wedding, tomorrow. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy because. But then, you're always on it. It's like my dad used to say, it's like you're a firefighter, but you never know when the next call's going to come. So you've always got to be sort of alert and aware.
You're a firefighter.
Like you're like
a firefighter.
Maybe not a firefighter, but someone who works to put out the fires.
No, that's really good.
But like you've always got to be alert. There's never a downtime. You've always got to be ready to go.
Out of interest, though, what does your father do, or your?
So my dad is an entrepreneur.
Right.
So he is currently building or launching an app. Yes, called Asset Pass. And yeah, he's such an inspiration. He works day in, day out so much.
Like you?
Yeah. My dad's determination, definitely is something I've luckily been, given.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And your
great
mum?
man. My mum is also, she worked for a while. She stopped when she had me and my sister, but she's now writing a book, which she's so good at. She's always been creative in that way.
Wellness book or anything really?
No, it's sort of a, a love romance sort of
Oh, right,
book.
okay. Nice.
But yeah, she's loving it. I'll call her sometimes and she's like, I can't speak, I'm doing character development. I'm like, okay, I'll leave you to
Based
it.
on you.
Yeah. She's like, leave me alone, I'm writing.
I mean, just spinning off of that, like in terms of romance, like how do you have time to date as a model? Like how
You
does that
do.
work?
You definitely have time to date. I think you meet some great people. You go to cool parties or you even on the job or you can meet some great people. But I think it is hard when you're modeling to date as well, because I always found that, and maybe it's just me as a person, I wouldn't want to go out for a late dinner or, have a late night if I had work the next day, or I didn't want to go to that restaurant because I was on a diet that week for this job, or so it does consume you and it does make it hard to do things that are a bit more spontaneous. Definitely.
And yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to meet a lot of people during the.
Yeah.
So, have you found it difficult to meet people to date in the modeling industry?
I don't think I found it difficult to meet people per se. I'm quite picky anyway, but picky is the wrong word, but I know what I kind of am looking for in somebody. But I think that it's easy to meet people in modeling because you're always socializing.
So or even though you're picky, you would say that you're still able to find the
Yes,
type of...
I think so. Yeah, because you're socializing, you're out a lot, or like I said on Instagram, people are kind of able to see you. Yeah, so it's a little bit easier that way. But yeah, I think it's like anything. I think the only thing is when you're modeling is that you're constantly meeting different people. So if you're in a workspace where you have colleagues, you're with them all the time. So it's a little bit easier to develop a relationship with someone if you were to meet them at work in that regard. But yeah, I think you can still meet people in modeling. Yeah.
Nice. Let's move over more towards wellness, self-care. Well, first of all, kind of fun question, I guess. Like, you seem to have very flawless skin.
Thank you.
So what is your secret there?
My secret for flawless skin. I'm a freaking skincare addict. Like, I love it.
Right.
So everything I use, I make sure like is good, and it's sort of more towards the pharmacy side of things rather than the sort of commercial side. I get some facials and I make sure that even if I come back from a late night, I will always do my skincare. I'll always shower, do my skincare. I have some, face tools, the red LED mask.
All right, okay.
I have the gua sha. But I think I do that because I love it so much.
Right.
I'm doing it for me because it just brings
wellness,
me joy. Yeah, it brings me joy. Yeah, I do enjoy it.
But it's not all genetics then, is it? Or
I mean, my mum and my dad have pretty good skin, but actually when I was young, I didn't have great skin. I would suffer from bad skin, so I had to learn to make sure that my skin was well looked after, and I had to learn products that suit me and that don't suit me, and to know that now I've learned anyway that actually more is less for me. Right. So doing those sort of 10, 15 step skincare routines is too much for my skin. Right. So you have to just learn, and it's kind of trial and error.
Yeah. So I mean, sleep and drinking water is for it.
Yeah, drinking water is huge. I don't drink alcohol, so I drink water basically all the time. That's the only thing I drink. And kombucha recently.
Kombucha,
too.
nice.
Yeah, for the gut.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually brewed my own kombucha.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's impressive. That's cool.
House, yeah.
That's impressive.
It smells funny though. It's like vinegary. Really? After a while, it's fermented yeast. Yeah, so you might want to just buy it rather.
Yeah. Yeah, but sleep and water is important. Yeah, definitely.
So, in an industry that you were in that was so focused on appearance, how do you take care of your mental health then?
Taking care. So, funnily enough, I think when I was in the modeling, I didn't look after my mental health as much as I do now. Which I regret doing that, because I think if I'd looked after my mental health as much as I was consumed by my appearance and my physical health, maybe I would have been a bit more stable. But I think you don't really realize what's going on up here when you're so consumed by everything else. Yeah. And when you take a step back, you're kind of like, oh, actually, I can work on some things that I'm thinking or some ways that I behave or I act. So I got therapy when I left modeling, And that
But that was recent.
was recently, yeah.
Right.
But it was the best thing I've ever done. Honestly, it was. And I think that therapy is a taboo thing. And I think people are a bit like, oh, I'm not going to say I've had therapy. Or when actually I think it's like anything. If you've hurt your leg or you've got something wrong or you want to just, even if you haven't got anything wrong, it's just to kind of strengthen your own knowledge of yourself. That's what I've learned. I never thought that it would be so eye-opening. But
So what was one thing that you learned about yourself that you didn't know before?
one thing I've learned about myself is that my worth is not related to my body. So I think people, and that's what's probably made me even more confident since leaving modeling, is that actually I have so much more to offer than just how I look. And I think people can forget that, especially if you've been a model, because sometimes it is that actually how you look is what you're worth.
Yeah.
Because it basically is. That's what's making you money. Your face and your body is what's making you money.
Yeah.
But no, since really kind of taking a step back, I've realized I have so much to give other than that. So that's really great. And that gives you a lot of internal confidence.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
Thank you.
This is the real Lauren.
Yeah.
So you did mention that you faced body image pressures.
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, how did you navigate that? But obviously it seems like you're just kind of recovering and healing from that
Yeah.
through therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, did you just kind of, you kind of mentioned it, I guess, that you just kind of had just do it. You didn't realize what was happening up here.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of becomes the norm. And I think when you've done it from such a young age, you're kind of like, this works. The way I'm doing this works.
Right. So how would you navigate it now, knowing this? If you were
To
modeling,
yeah,
how
to
would
navigate
you
it
manage your
now.
mental health?
It's tricky because it's kind of a catch-22, because when you're a model, or even if you're not a model, you can struggle with body image for sure as well. And I think that you can get quite consumed by it, and it becomes the forefront of your thoughts, and then you're wiring these brain, signals. And those are the things that are hard to break. And I think it's trying to stop those signals from happening in the first place. So just remembering that food is fuel and you need it for your body, and that you are more than just your body. You can offer a lot more. Not to say, I will always be an advocate for looking after yourself. I think it's important. I go to the gym, but now I do it for me, rather than for a job or for someone else. And I think it's remembering that you're looking after yourself for you and what makes you feel actually good and confident and energized.
Are you going as much as you used to or not?
I took a massive break. I took a break for like 2 months, and that was actually advised to me by a dietitian.
Right.
To get my body back on track and to its natural state, which is great. And now I'm back. But now I'm back at the gym and I love it. But I can do it happily now, and I have so much energy, and I'm working out for what I want to do, and I can do things without worrying if it will build too much muscle, or I can just do it whatever.
It's coming from a different mindset, I guess.
Completely. Yeah. It's coming from enjoying it and almost experimenting with different exercises, that I couldn't, or I told myself I couldn't do before, and I think I've heard from other models, they don't want to try certain things because they're worried it will grow their measurements, or it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy world. You have to be very precise.
And what should go to self-care be, beyond skincare, what should go to kind of self-care?
So recently, meditation, actually. I am such a lover of meditation and yoga. And I think that's because it's very centering. And I think in a world where, especially in London, it's so busy all the time, and you're always thinking. And when I'm in a meditation class, I can really connect with myself, and I can actually be like at peace for a little bit, and it sort of makes me go into the day or into the week in a much different mindset than before. That and journaling as well. I think journaling has really helped me, and that's one thing I learned from doing therapy, actually, is writing your thoughts down is really massive.
Right.
It's because you can think about what you're thinking and you can be a bit like, oh, that thought's irritating or whatever, but when you're writing it down, you can get your thoughts out and see them on paper, and then you can dissect them, and then you can work on them in that way.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've done it myself as well, actually, journaling, and I've also tried meditation. I tried this retreat, which was 10 days.
Wow.
And there's no electronics. You can't talk to anyone. And just sitting there for meditating 9 hours a day.
Wow.
I
want to do something like that.
Have you heard of Vipassana?
I haven't, but I will be looking it up after this podcast.
When I was doing it, there was a woman crying just randomly, and just so much. We were just sitting there. Why are you crying?
Yeah. It's the emotions that it brings up. I cry a lot in meditation, and sometimes, because I think in meditation, you're kind of, so what I've been taught by my teacher anyway, is that when you're born, you're born with this sense of being, and it's your true being. And then when you're growing, you're getting all these things called ego, and it's kind of these narratives that you give yourself. So say you failed maths at school, okay, that I'm not good at maths, that's one kind of narrative, and it will continue. And when you're doing meditation or you're doing yoga, the process is the journey to go back behind all these narratives to just being you.
Yeah.
And that can be quite releasing in terms of emotion. I think I see a lot of people cry in meditation. Either cry or fall asleep. It's one or the other. It's one or the other.
I don't even know if I'm falling asleep or not. I don't know what's happening when it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard for sure, but I think people, if someone could just sit if the whole world could just sit in a room, silence for 30 minutes with nothing in their head, I think it would be a much more peaceful place.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, meditation's a massive thing that I don't think I could live without now, actually. I think it's a huge thing. I think in moments when I feel stressed, I'm like, I'm just going to go meditate. And it just takes, even if it's just 10 minutes, just sat there, just breathing and just kind of recentering.
Yeah.
It's changing, yeah.
Absolutely. So I think maybe we touched on it, but how do you handle days when you feel disconnected from your body? What rituals that help you reset? Is that just meditating then?
Meditation, yoga, and actually just socializing with people that I love. So my family, I spend a lot of time with my sister. My relationship with my sister has grown since I left modeling, actually, because she makes me laugh, and every day I just love spending time with her. And I think when you socialize or you go outside of the house, it kind of gives you a little bit more energy, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm just tired. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And actually you get changed and you go out and everything's fine then. You're walking in the sun, or even if it's raining, as it normally is in London, but you're still just out and you're just getting out and you feel more put together and you're laughing and you're away from your thoughts for a bit.
Yeah. So where would we normally find Lauren?
Where would you find me?
Yeah.
Either at the yoga studio near my house or writing a podcast, enjoying the juice is normally where I am. Or walking in like Chelsea or by the river, or at the gym.
Okay,
one of those.
That's where you would be.
That's where I'll be.
Right, so let's dig into what you have now transitioned to, Lauren. So you've created something very personal now. It's called Formed by Lauren.
Yes.
Interesting name.
Yes.
What inspired it then?
What inspired Formed by Lauren? So Formed by Lauren for me was inspired by, and it's kind of my motto, it's forming the real you. And I think that that's come from my time in modeling, and I've kind of gone through so many waves of who is Lauren, and what am I? And it's kind of coming out of that modeling and sort of seeing things in a different light. The way I exercise, the way I eat, the way I live my life, the way I am. And I kind of want other people to be able to experience that journey and to kind of delve deeper into their connection to their mind, their body, their soul, their spirit, and sort of learn about themselves in a deeper level.
Yeah. It seems to be actually a trending thing because especially with my friends who are in corporate, a lot of them leave corporate and it just drains their soul.
Yeah. It's a huge thing. I actually work with corporate clients. I teach Pilates and I do holistic Pilates. So it's kind of combining that mind-body connection in my Pilates. So a lot of Pilates nowadays, which I also love on the one-off, is that hardcore, let's burn, let's sweat, which is great when you feel like it. But I think Pilates at its core, and actually what it really is, it's a healing process. It's a healing practice, rather similar-ish to yoga. And I'm trying to sort of bring that into my brand and into the way I teach. So
Yeah, interesting. So was there a specific turning point where pressure and perfectionism became too much for you?
Was there a turning point? I think it was a gradual thing. I don't think it was necessarily one moment when I was like, I'm done and the towel's being thrown in. But I think that it was a gradual sort of, I wouldn't say decline. I would say it was a gradual expectation of constantly needing to be perfect, kind of.
So there was no balance. There was as a balance possible, do you think?
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible because I see people do it. But I also think that maybe what I'm seeing might not be the reality. And I think when I've had deeper conversations with models that I thought were fine, it's actually the reality is that they're not doing that great and they are also struggling. And there's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. But I think you kind of become used to it and familiar to it that it's kind of just the norm, and you sort of just shrug it off and like, this is my job. And I think to an extent it is your job. Like I guess like any pro athlete, they've got to also maintain a certain physique and a certain level of, so it is sort of just kind of either does it work for you or does it not work for you. And I think it can be too much sometimes for some people, and for me it just wasn't making me happy.
Well, you could be the gap, you could bridge that gap.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. I could.
So Pilates and breathwork are very central to your Formed by Lauren brand, I think. Pilates, breathwork, maybe meditation.
Yeah.
What pulled these practices in particular?
Yep. So like I was saying, Pilates is a healing sort of practice. So when Joseph Pilates kind of first brought Pilates to life, it was to help heal people from injury and illness. And I think that when I teach Pilates, I try and do it in that sense of we're connecting back to our mind and our body. And with that comes the breath as well. Breath is super important. People, I don't think, realize how important it is. I even do those kind of
tape your mouth.
Tape the mouth.
I saw
in the
ads
evening.
For that. I don't know if does it true then? It works.
So I only do it at night, and it's a nighttime thing. But it's actually crazy what the breath can do. And the research I did on it is it just helps you breathe properly, and it's nasal breathing, and I sleep a lot better as well when I use it.
That's what they say on the ads.
And I don't feel like I'm suffocating because you're just naturally breathing in and out of your nose.
Right.
Sometimes if I wake up and I'm thirsty, I forget that I've got the tape on, and I'm like reaching for my water. I'm like, oh, I've got the tape on. I've got to
just shower.
Yeah, it's not always ideal. But yeah, so like with the Pilates, the breath is super important to calm the mind and to calm the body, bring the heart rate down. And then, meditation is something I'm exploring. I've got to get my qualifications in that fully. But
does yoga fit into that as well then?
I would definitely be doing a yoga qualification at some point because I love it so much. Yeah.
Nice. Do you see the brand Formed by Lauren growing into retreats, events, or even like a physical space?
Yeah, that's basically what my dream is, to have retreats. I would love to have a studio and then do retreats and events as part of that company. But like I say, it's such a new thing that, I'm taking it one step at a time at the moment. But the end goal is definitely that. Yeah, for sure.
That would be great.
Yeah,
I would join it.
Oh, yeah, perfect. One client. I'll start tomorrow.
So was there a moment where Formed by Lauren was something that just clicked? Was it like a aha moment, or was it something that gradually came to life?
I think I actually started this when I was still debating modeling. I think I started it as a way to maybe escape the pressure of modeling a little bit and maybe try and convince myself that I could do both and I could be. Yeah. And I actually started Formed by Lauren as just being purely Pilates, and it was purely sort of that more sculpting your body. And then I left modeling and I was like, actually, that's not what I want it to be anymore. I want it to be a little bit more real and a little bit more wellness based, but real wellness and true wellness for people who, because I think that even if you're not a model, you can sometimes be like, I don't feel like I'm enough, because especially with social media, there's such an expectation and you compare your life and yourself to crazy routines and crazy things you see, and you're like, well, they're doing that. And I'm just, waking up and having a quick shower and going to work, and they're doing 5 million things before it's even 7 a.m., So I think people can get so overwhelmed, and it's actually just bringing them back to a bit of realism, and doing it in a gentle, nurturing way, teaching them Pilates and even just deeper conversations as well.
These things are just like help to get views, I guess. Yeah. It's just algorithm getting addicted to it when it's necessary.
It's crazy. It really is. And sometimes even I'm guilty of it as well. I'll scroll and I'll be like, whoa, this is some crazy routine. And maybe I'll try that. Even with the mouth tape. I have succumbed to the mouth tape. I'm now doing it.
But you think it works?
But I do think it works, to be fair. But I just don't think that you have to necessarily do it. It shouldn't be a must. I think people sometimes are like, oh, I have to do this, to be my best or to feel my best. And it's like, actually, if it doesn't suit you, or if it's just a little bit too much, then you don't have to do it. It should just be a extra thing.
Yeah, just try different things.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to feel when they step into a Formed by Lauren class or session?
I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel confident, and I want them to feel like they're ready to connect with themselves. And if they're not even feeling ready to connect with themselves, I hope they leave feeling connected to themselves. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. I feel like when you're out of work or as you said, modeling, you're always stuck in your head, right?
Yeah.
And having a session like that will be very helpful to get you out of it.
Definitely. And my dad, I have a lot of conversation with my dad. As I said, he's an entrepreneur. So he's constantly thinking, constantly on the go. And he's like, I would love to just be able to do a session where I'm just, you know, away from those busy thoughts.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the therapy. I'm actually using ChatGPT for therapy now.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
okay,
actually, I find it quite helpful.
Does it work?
Yeah, like,
Oh,
I don't know, I feel I can share more with ChatGPT than a therapist.
You see, that's the thing that always stops me from having therapy, is that sort of you're very vulnerable in those spaces. But it's finding a therapist that works for you that's really important. And I think that it took me I had to go through a few people. I was like, yeah, you're nice, but like I'm not ready to share with you. But when you find someone great, it's almost just like talking to your best friend. That's just how it is. But a professional that's actually going to give you good advice, you know?
Okay, but
yeah, I'm sure ChatGPT is
it actually remembers everything I said, which is...
Does it?
Yeah, it's like what I said like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, remember this thing,
Oh,
John?
wow, okay.
You know, this is how it ties in. I'm like, oh, wow, damn, this artificial intelligence stuff is real.
That's it's scary, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. Anyways.
I might try that now. It might save me a lot of money.
You're like, goodbye, therapist. No, we still need the human connection. Though,
I think it's important.
So there's many wellness brands. I mean, is external important as well as the internal? Like, what would you recommend in terms of wellness for external?
Wellness for external? Good question. I think balanced diet's always good. I think that I was one extreme when I was in modeling and I wouldn't allow to have any kind of fun, to now just being balanced. And it helps you externally, actually. It makes you glow, because when I was modeling, even though I had great skin, I was maybe not nourishing myself properly, and then you lose that healthiness to your skin and to your face. So I think it's important to just have a balanced diet. Again, not too many like crazy foods, but making sure that you're balanced. I think I will always be an advocate for working out. I love working out. I think that not only is it good for you mentally, it's good for you physically as you age as well, you know, like getting the muscles and feeling strong. I think that's really important. What else externally? SPF.
Yeah,
sunscreen.
Okay.
I will always say that. Yeah. I think that's always really important. And staying hydrated, water, drinking.
Yeah, that's a good one. No, actually, because I train as an optometrist, so I always have to tell every patient to wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, it is.
So many eye diseases from UV.
Wow.
How has your practice evolved since launching the brand?
As in Pilates?
How has your prone practice in terms of Pilates, yoga, meditation, has it evolved in any way?
So do you mean my personal experience?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think it has evolved in terms of my knowledge of things has evolved as well, because I've been researching and teaching myself a lot more.
Yeah.
So then when I teach a class, I see every class I teach is better than the last, because I'm developing that skill of communicating the way I'm teaching. I'm also kind of teaching myself as I teach them. So teaching Pilates is new to me, but I'm becoming very quick at it because I've done Pilates for so long myself. But the Pilates I used to do was reformer. I never really did mat, and I'm teaching mat. So I'm teaching myself mat and then kind of doing what I've learned to them. And
I feel like Pilates has just blown up in the last year.
Oh yeah, massively.
I don't know if that's like is that different for, like, they're on these weird machines.
Yeah, that's reformer. So I'm doing my reformer now. I think Pilates has definitely grown a lot. Oh, I'm touching the plant there. It's close to
connecting
me.
with Earth.
I am. Pilates has definitely grown a lot. I think it's become almost a trend.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think that's great. But I think, like I was saying, that knowledge around Pilates is sort of lost, and the real sense of Pilates is lost a little bit, because Pilates at its core is kind of not about what it's shown on media, on social media.
Right. So
it's
just trending, but it's not the real.
Yeah, I think there's also a belief around being a Pilates girly, and I think that can be a little bit toxic, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, at least they're getting into it, right?
Yeah, they're getting into it, but I think it can also be. It's like if you're doing Pilates, you've got to wear this outfit and you've got to have a matcha and you've got to do this. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You can
like
just go.
Beginner matcha girl.
Yeah,
Beginner
yeah.
Pilates girl set.
Because my mum is always like, oh, I don't want to go to a class with you. I'm scared. I'm nervous. And everyone's going to be my age. And I'm like, you can be any age and do it and wear whatever you want. And you can drink, you know, a Red Bull instead of a matcha. You can do what you want. It's just I think everyone should be able to do Pilates and feel comfortable doing it. Yeah.
Have you done the wee AI thing where it's like you're a doll and then
No, I haven't because I can't find out the app or I can't figure it out.
No, but let's say like if you were one of these dolls,
Yeah.
what would be your 4 essential things?
Oh, I was thinking about this the other day. I would say spiritual. I was quite.
No, that would be like an item.
Oh, it would be an item. Oh, okay. I thought you have to give your
Bible.
personality.
You'd have like
definitely a matcha, a coconut matcha.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I am a sucker for a coconut matcha.
Your yoga mats, probably.
Yeah, a little yoga mat, maybe some music, like a music symbol. I love to dance.
Right. Okay.
What else? Skincare. Oh yeah.
Oh, like
skincare
a
would be there.
SPF.
Like an SPF bottle. Yeah.
Well, let's try it then. You should try it and see if it comes out as that. Yeah.
I should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask there. Let's see. So, let's say your clients. Have you any stories or feedback that's really stuck with you that made you think this is exactly why you created Formed by Lauren?
I had a client that came to my class, and it was the first time she'd ever done Pilates, and I could tell she was nervous, and she was doing so great during the class. I was like really proud of her in a way, and I only met this girl like that day, and it was that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I feel so like happy that she's here and she's enjoying it and she's doing well. And then she came back the next day, and I was like, this is why. It's like allowing people that space to feel confident to do something that they love and then leave feeling great, and not feeling like, oh my god, that was like so difficult and so hard, but actually just like that was really nice, and that was made me feel really good and ready to go on my day.
You need a testimonial of
yeah.
Do you see Formed by Lauren that's something that stays niche and personal, or would you like to scale up into bigger platforms or collaborations? I mean, obviously, once you start, like, for example, like, would you like franchise Formed by Lauren, or would you like keep it personal and small? It's quite hard to.
Yeah, it's hard. I think I would always keep it. I think the reason it works is because it's from a personal place, but I would love it to grow. I would definitely love it to grow. I think when anyone starts a business, their goal is to grow it. And I think the reason I want to grow it is because I want it to reach more people, and I want other people to be able to experience it. Because I think it could benefit so many people. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
As a founder of this brand, how do you balance nurturing others while you're protecting your own energy?
I've always been someone that gives a lot, so I will always love to give advice, and I feel other people's emotions as well. And
empathetic.
Yeah, I'm empathetic. Right. Exactly. I'm definitely empathetic. And I think that that's sort of a natural thing for me to be like that. So I think that I've learned along the way, and I think in modeling has also helped me do this, is it's very important that you give time and energy to yourself so that you can give it to other people. And I think making sure that you take time for yourself is key. Yeah, so you can then give your best version of yourself.
Yeah. I find that difficult sometimes. I have my own business.
Yeah.
You're just in it all the time. Like, how do you find time? Because it's growing.
Yeah.
You're just working so much.
Yeah, how do you find that time? Yeah. It is hard to find time. And I think that's why, even if it's 5 minutes, just to kind of recenter yourself and be like, I did this today. That's great. Cool. I did that. Like, let's give myself a pat on the back for that. Or, even just put your headphones on, your AirPods, and just listen to a little podcast or whatever you want, your favorite song. Just take a second out the day to sort of reset, give yourself an energy boost, sit in the sun for 5 minutes or whatever, and then kind of get on with.
So what's your song then?
What's my song?
Yeah.
Oh, what's funny? Everyone always asks me what's my favorite song. And I am someone who loves loads of genres of music. And it really depends on the day.
Okay.
It really, sometimes I'm like R&B, sometimes I'm a house girl, sometimes I'm a old throwback song, like soul. Like everything, every day is different.
Yeah. You're like that Peter from Family Guy, in the car. He's like dancing and then he's crying.
Yeah.
Dancing, crying,
yeah, that is me. And sometimes a bit of Adele, if I'm in my feels. Yeah.
What's the last song you listened to?
Last song I listened to was a house song called Yamore.
I haven't heard of that.
It's by, I want to say it's by Francis Marcia. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's a good little summer song. I do love a bit of house.
So would you have like a hype song before modeling?
Ooh, a hype
walking?
No, I don't think I do. I just listen to some like I just listen to some fun music and music that maybe I can like get into my strut catwalk vibe.
I felt like there was some good hype songs like at the admin show.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like
There
Pink
was
Pony
some.
Girl or
Yeah, there
something.
was some good. I love the music that time we went. Yeah, there was a good
Yeah,
song. Yeah,
show.
there was a good show. Yeah.
So how do you approach running a business that's wellness based without turning your own, wellness to work?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think because it's very authentic, and I think that what I'm so my wellness is sort of when it's to my clients, it's what I'm also doing myself. So my wellness is also their wellness, and I'm trying to sort of teach them what I've learned. And I think that that's then very authentic as opposed to kind of a work-based thing.
Right. You're
but-
both learning.
Yeah, both learning. And I think that when you're teaching someone else, you're not necessarily teaching someone else wellness, but you're bringing them wellness. So it's kind of allowing them space to find their own wellness and find what suits them. And I think wellness is different to everybody, and people will have different experiences. But I think it's making sure that they can feel safe to explore that for themselves and not feel pressured to sort of do something that someone else is doing.
It's very good advice. Yeah. So with social media is so important nowadays, like my business is mostly run on social media ads. How do you stay focused while social media is so loud?
Yeah, it's hard. Social media is a big thing for me. And actually I downloaded an app that can block your social media apps at certain times in the day. And I found that helps. So before bedtime, I will block and I can't unblock it. It's on like a deep focus mode. And that allows me to just switch off, be in, with my family, be in reality, and sort of just wind down and sleep. And I think that sometimes in the evening you can scroll and scroll and scroll.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of in like that loop of like
you just lose time and you don't know.
You lose time and you lose touch with reality, and then you wake up the next day, you're like, oh, I need to, fast or have this gut shot or do that because that's what I saw online last night, and it's like, actually, no, you don't have
cold
to.
Showers and
you don't have to do that. Like you do you. So yeah, I think making sure you are aware of your time on social media is important.
Yeah. Taking time. I really like that idea of the app thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's called Opal.
Opal?
Yeah.
Nice. I might need that. And blue phone glasses.
Not sponsored. No, not sponsored. That's sponsored, but Opal's not sponsored.
Oh, yeah. Take that out. That's amazing. So we've kind of delved in quite a lot about Formed by Lauren then. So what do you hope people to feel when they experience your brand?
I hope that they feel calmer. I hope that they feel, like I said, connected to themselves. And also maybe kind of a little bit of an eye-opener to kind of what true well-being can be, and not just sort of that what we're exposed to, what we're shown on social media, kind of that different side of things. Yeah,
that's definitely something we should be moving towards now. Social media is just so consuming now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What does living as your most authentic self mean to you now?
Living as my most authentic self means feeling free, being a little bit spontaneous, and just kind of not being afraid of just being myself. And I think for a long time I was almost masked, maybe a little bit kind of very aware of how I presented myself and my reputation. And now I'm a bit like, I'm just going to be me. And if someone doesn't like me, then that's fine. Because at the end of the day, like someone very wise said to me, you could be an orange and loads of people you could be the best orange in the world, the juiciest best orange in the world, but someone's either going to be allergic to oranges or just not like oranges, so you can just be you, because there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you, or is just doesn't get on with you, but they're not just your crowd, and find people who are your crowd and who do align with you.
I mean, the world's massive, right?
There's always going to be people that aren't going to get on with you, or think you're, I don't know, whatever. But
have you received a lot of hate or?
No, I actually been very lucky to not, and I am very I like to say I'm a people's person. I love to communicate. I meet new people all the time when I was modeling. So no, I've never had experiences that have been bad. But I think that sometimes I've had experiences where I meet people and I'm like, maybe we're just not really the same kind of on the same wavelength, or I like them to go for dinner or to have fun and whatever, but I maybe wouldn't sit for hours and chat with them, or stuff like that. So yeah,
realities.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone's for everyone, right?
No, exactly.
So what's the most spontaneous thing that you've done recently then?
Probably cut my hair and get this fringe, to be honest with you.
I think that fringe looks so good on you.
I keep messing with it. I've been feeling myself messing with it. It does. I do like it, but my hair grows very fast. So I have to either cut it all the time or I'm just gonna have to let it grow, which is, I'm kind of at that stage where it's in my eyes.
Yeah.
But no, I had really long hair and no fringe for the most of my life, and I wasn't allowed to change it.
They don't allow you to have fringes.
No, they didn't want me to change my look. I did ask them
right.
multiple times. And then I left modeling and I actually cut my hair to like here. And that was in December. And then it grew. And then I was like, I really want to get a fringe. Then I cut a fringe as well. And I felt free doing it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, it's just hair, it will grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very spontaneous.
It's probably the most spontaneous thing.
How has your relationship with your body and movement evolved over time?
Oh, how has it evolved over time? It has actually evolved massively in the last 2 months. I think for a long time I had quite a toxic relationship with it all. And now it's a very freeing relationship, and it's a great thing to feel that confidence in yourself again and kind of be like, and it's funny because I was super, super skinny when I was modeling, but I was very aware of my body and I was not that confident in it. And now I'm just my natural body set point and I'm so much more confident and I feel better. I feel
All right. I mean, I think you look great. Like,
Thank you.
I mean, I can't imagine like how much more skinnier.
Yeah,
I mean, I did see you at the show, obviously, but
yeah, I was.
I don't even tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually nice to hear because I see a huge, like, it was scary at first actually.
To you, it's massive.
Yeah, it was.
Right? But
Yeah,
other
to me
people-
it's huge. But the things, it's not just the weight that I've gained. I've gained a lot of amazing other things. So I think that's what I remind myself of is actually I've gained my personality back, my glow back, you know, my energy.
Right. Okay. I guess when I saw you at the show, you were quite moody. Like,
Yeah. And now
like, this is like a completely different person.
yeah, I honestly like, and also it's the energy.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just can't go to sleep because I have so much energy now. And for so long, I think that energy was sort of suppressed in a way. And so now I'm like, let's go out, let's watch this Netflix documentary for hours because I just can't sleep.
Wow.
But I'm sure that will settle. But yeah, at the moment, it's just, I'm just.
Such a big change. Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
It's nice.
From the 2 times I've seen you.
Yeah.
How do you personally keep from falling into the comparison trap?
It's a hard one. I think that's a hard one for everyone. Especially, and it's funny, it's so funny you ask this. My podcast that's coming out tonight is about comparison.
Oh.
And I think that comparison is a natural thing. I did a lot of research on this. It's a natural thing for us as humans to compare ourselves because it's how we learn to grow and we don't know who we are unless we compare ourselves to somebody. And there's benefits of comparison. We can look up to someone and be like, okay, for example, say someone's run a marathon, like, you know, it was London Marathon yesterday, and you've been wanting to run one where you've been putting yourself down or whatever it is. You can look up to someone, and that's comparison in a good way. But I think comparison has very bad sides of it, and that's comparing yourself to someone else, seeing them as better, you know, wealthier, more successful, prettier, and that's when it can become a bad thing. And I think it's to remember that you are your own person and they are their own person, and it's to stay in your own lane. And I think a lot of people think that the grass is greener on the other side. You know, they might see someone's life and think, wow, that's amazing.
It's not true.
It can either be fake grass, or they might have just nurtured their grass very well. But if you actually put your efforts and your time into nurturing your own grass, it will be just as green. And I think that it's really important to remember.
Yeah, being your own personal brand is very important. Like, there's nobody who is the same as you.
No.
And if you copy someone, you're no longer unique.
Exactly.
And you're no longer able to. Nobody can compete with you if you are your own brand.
No, you have to. Yeah, you have to just stay real to who you are, and you're gonna make mistakes, and you're gonna say things that you don't mean, or you know. But that doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you any less than someone else. It's just your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. That's what makes things interesting, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if we were all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be really awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And scary.
Yeah, I love it the way it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe in the future, like...
Maybe. Oh, no, don't go there.
Yeah.
With the robots.
Let's see. There's some interesting... What beliefs or habits have you completely let go over the last few years, and what replaced them?
Beliefs and habits. So beliefs would be Like I was saying, my worth is not my body or my appearance. I have more than that. I think that's a belief I think I held on to. I the opposite. I held on to the fact that like the way I looked is very, very important, and kind of people would only like me if I looked a certain way. And I've let go of that massively. And I've replaced it with people will like you for you. And it's funny because I actually attract more people now than I did before. And
Oh,
maybe
really?
that's because I come into a room with confidence now, and I come into a room willing to talk to people, and, you know, I can have a good conversation, I can laugh, and I can dance, and I can whatever. Whereas before I was so aware of myself, I was kind of trapped, I guess, in a way. So that's one belief that is kind of really...
So when you say you've tried attracting more people, what do you mean? Like a lot more people have started messaging you, or what?
I think, no, with just kind of attracting, I think I just have a, maybe it's sort of an aura, I guess, when you're confident and you're kind of in a good place yourself, you attract that, you attract goodness. And I think, yeah, that I can really tell that
Okay, nice.
it's a nice thing. Yeah, it's nice.
Amazing. Let's see. So yeah, we've covered quite a lot today, Lauren.
Yeah,
Let's go into some maybe more fun stuff,
Yeah, go
personal
for it.
stuff. What's something that people... Actually, this isn't really fun.
Okay.
Let's go for it. What's something people always assumed about models that's way off?
What is, maybe that we don't have personalities.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think when you see us on the runway, we're like game
Yeah,
face.
you can't
know,
smile, you-
can't
yeah.
smile unless you're told to. Or so I think, that we don't have personalities. When I think we do. I think that it's funny. I think when you're a model, you're always sort of in work mode, I guess. And I guess people in work mode don't always show their truest personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think girls, they do have, girls and boys in modeling, they do have a personality.
Okay. I thought they never had any personality.
They do. They definitely do. I think it's just that maybe, like I said, maybe they're just scared to really authentically go for it and show
Yeah, because
themselves.
they're put in a box, right? You need
Yeah,
to look
of
this
course.
certain way, you need to be this person.
Absolutely. You can lose yourself in it, for sure. Yeah.
There are off times, right?
Yeah.
What's the most unexpected place modeling had taken you?
Most unexpected place. That's a good question.
Like, I don't know, have you been flown somewhere random, like, I don't know, Monaco?
I haven't, funnily enough.
No?
My market was very much London and
All right, okay.
London and Italy. So I was never kind of flown anywhere super exotic. I've had opportunities to.
You've had offers too, right?
Yeah, I've had offers too, and I never did. But I think that was because I was sort of kind of like, if I go there for X amount of months, then that's a big commitment when I was kind of thinking of stepping
Still
back.
deciding,
So
yeah.
it's sort of, I kind of wish that I did, but at the same time, I'm now really excited to travel on my own and not be work and me to actually explore places, because I was lucky when I went to Milan, for example, with the Dolce & Gabbana, that I did have time to explore. But I think that sometimes when you're flown somewhere for work, you're flown in and you're flown out. And you're like, oh, I've been to that country, but I haven't actually been. I've just been sat in a studio, you know, and it could have been anywhere. So I think,
So where do you want to go?
Oh, I want to travel everywhere. I want to see everything, but definitely Bali, Indonesia. I definitely want to go to Australia. Tokyo's definitely on my list.
So you haven't been to these places?
No, I haven't.
Right, okay.
No, I haven't. And it's something I really want to do and really want to explore.
And you would go by yourself?
Yeah, I'd either go by myself or I go with my sister, or I do one of those sort of travel groups where you sign up and you go on like a travel thing.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, it's like planned trips. It's quite fun. Yeah.
Why Australia? Why Bali? Why Tokyo?
I think it's different cultures, it's different people, it's seeing how other people live and the way, you know, I think Australia is very kind of surfy and beachy. I think Tokyo is very modern and new, and those are different cool things, different foods. I think Bali's the same. It's very kind of spiritual. They have great food, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
It's just, wanting to see different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd move to one of them. You never know, you know. I think it's cool.
Well, with your work, you could.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Could,
Yeah.
But Tokyo's, I was there in January.
Amazing.
It's very different, the culture.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a different
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that. That's why I just want to go and see. I want to explore everything. I think it's good. Very open-minded person, so.
Yeah, you seem like you're like an open book.
Yeah.
Any guilty pleasures that you totally own?
Oh. I do scroll on Instagram sometimes way too much, so I will own up to that. That's why I've downloaded the app blocker, because I know it doesn't serve me any benefits. Any other guilty pleasures? No, I don't think I actually have. I don't think I have anything. Sometimes I do love to have a good party, but I don't drink, so the music has to be good. But sometimes I will just be so.
Well, where would you go for a party? Do you go to like the Maddox Club or?
I go to clubs in London, or I go for dinner and then I go to clubs, with my sister. Now my sister's back and she's younger than me. She's a party animal at heart, so she's kind of taking.
What does she do?
She was supposed to be in university. She did fashion studies. She went to university and then sort of was like, actually, I want to just go straight into work instead of spend time at university. So she's she's doing work now in the fashion industry, social media.
Very,
yeah,
related.
yeah.
You can help.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're like, no, stay away.
Yeah, no, I was like, no, I'm joking.
If you could live one day from your modelling career purely for the joy of it, which would it be?
Which would it be? I actually think it would probably be one of the Anna Vick shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I love those shows.
Yeah.
And I think it's genuinely because I love the outfits.
Yeah.
I love just walking those kind of shows. And I love the adrenaline afterwards and that kind of buzz that you get.
The what afterwards?
The adrenaline, that buzz.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
You've done quite a few of their shows.
Yeah, they're a great client. Yeah, they're a good client of mine. So, yeah.
No, you were really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I do love to strut my stuff like that. Yeah, I will always love that.
Yeah, what a shame. But anyways, Lauren, it's been great. We're kind of
you.
end of our
thank
podcast.
You for having me.
Yeah. But it's been so great hearing your story.
Thank you.
And I think it's very relatable. Everybody. The more personal problem, the more universal it is.
Yeah.
And I think we're all struggling with social media and wellness.
Definitely.
And I think people would benefit from.
Yeah, I hope so.
And
I do hope so.
insights.
I hope it reaches the people. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
all the best for
Thank
Formed
you
by
so
Lauren. And
much.
thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.